Alright everyone, so I thought I'd do a little YouTube video, kind of give you an overview of my, what I like to call Project 3PointH8 over here behind me. So just kind of giving everybody an idea what it takes to build a 500 horsepower V6, kind of what has gone into the car and how we got here. So I've had the car forever. It was meant to be kind of a daily driver, and had a bunch of friends that were into, all the race car stuff, and kind of went downhill from there. So it used to be full bolt-on car, headers, exhaust, intake, tune, and gears. And it was still really slow. These cars made 190 horsepower from the factory. This one dynoed with the bolt-ons at like 180 to the wheels. So you can think a factory one probably made right around 160 to the wheels, which is pretty slow, especially by today's standards. So eventually ended up finding a good deal on a TMA turbo kit online, and a used turbo from a friend that I also got pretty cheap, and kind of slapped that all together, and turbo build went downhill from there. So as you can see behind me, this is what it is today. Fully built motor, built transmission, built rear end, super awesome Forged Star wheels that were as of this summer. And we'll kind of pop the hood open and kind of show you the engine bay and talk a little bit more about all that. So opened up the hood here. You can see that this is the engine bay. So this is where I'll talk a little bit about what has occurred with this whole build. So this car started out as just a 3.8 stock motor. I got the turbo kit as mentioned earlier and put that all together. So that is with a Turbonetics 6665 T4 81 AR turbo. You can see that over there. And then on that setup, it made about 340 horsepower to the rear wheels. That was on between 10 and 11 pounds. So it was a pretty stout motor. Had a couple buddies with some relatively stock-ish Coyote cars, and it would hang with them pretty well. So it was a lot of fun, kind of a sleeper. People don't really expect that out of a V6. So I eventually decided I wanted to take that build to the next step, and then here we are today. So at this point, this motor is now a 4.2 liter stroker, despite what my little name tag or nameplate on the intake here says. So what that means is it is a 3.8 block with a 4.2 liter F-150 truck motor crank. And then you take that crank, you slap it in there, and you use 6.125 length rods and custom pistons. Mine are from Wiseco, and then the rods are from Scat H beams. That ends up with a 4.2 liter stroker, forged. So then there's some other stuff done to this, heads, cam, a couple other things, kind of trick things going on in there. The bottom end was built by Supercoupes Unlimited in Ohio. Shout out to them. If anybody wants to kind of build a motor but doesn't really want to do it themselves, that is the place to do it. They were great to me, and this motor has been pretty stout so far. At this point, the motor on 17 pounds made about 500 to the wheels. So it's a pretty stout car at this point. A little bit more turbo lag than I would really like it to have, but that's neither here nor there. We'll close the hood here and then kind of give you an overview of some of the rest of the car. All right, so suspension wise, this car has a lot of Maximum Motorsports parts on it. You'll see the big banner on the garage wall behind me. That is because they are awesome and make probably the best suspension parts for these things. So it has Maximum Motorsports front and rear coilovers, Maximum Motorsports heavy duty lower control arms, full length subframe connectors also from MM, And then there's some other bits and goodies that aren't MM stuff. The front end is UPR K-member, so I've been kind of struggling with that, not because it's a bad K-member or anything, but because with what I do with the car, which is a lot of street miles and a decent bit of autocross, the UPR is not really meant for that. So I really want to switch to the Maximum Motorsports K-member. The difficulty with that is with how my turbo kit is set up and how my downpipe runs through the car, it won't really fit. I could run a fender dump. I don't really want to do that. It's not a drag car, and it's kind of too loud for how much I like to drive this thing. So I'm hoping to switch to Maximum Motorsports front end, but I'm probably going to have to figure out something to do with the turbo kit there. I'll show you kind of some of the other goodies. I'll show you the inside, see if we can get some shots underneath the car. It's not super clean under there, but that's okay. And then give you a little bit more overview once we get some daylight. All right, everybody, I'm going to take this thing out for a little drive here, kind of see if I can find a spot to get some video out in the sun of kind of the entire car. Give you a little bit of a drive with it. It's still warming up, so I'm not going to beat on it too hard, but just taking it easy kind of down the road. This thing is, it's a little bit race car-ish. This thing's got a G-Force built T5 transmission. So first through third are straight cut, so they whine pretty bad. And then it's got a little bit of an exhaust drone. You can kind of hear the injectors. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that in the video, but the injectors are pretty loud. Those are 1000cc fuel injector development FID injectors. I'll shift down into third here. You can really hear the transmission whine. It's pretty loud. Back into fourth. Fourth is not straight cut, I believe, or if it is, it doesn't whine quite as much as all the other gears. But other than kind of the noise that it makes, the car drives pretty much like stock. I have a bit of an issue with a idle control problem, so it's seemingly related to having an exhaust leak at my headers. I'm gonna fix that over the winter, hopefully, but every once in a while it'll stall out on me when I'm clutch in and then just kind of coming to a stop, so that should be hopefully getting fixed. But other than that, it drives like a normal car. I don't really have any issues. I've driven it 8 hours before back to Pennsylvania. We'll turn here. And then it is a bit laggy. I'll shift down in a second here. A little bit of boost. That's just like quarter throttle. But it doesn't really come on to the boost super hard. Mentioned earlier that Turbonetics turbo is pretty old tech. That's part of the reason why I think it doesn't really spool super great, other than the fact that the cam profile that we did and having lower compression. It's 8.8 to 1 compression plus big heads with upgraded valves, so it's not exactly ideal for mid-low range torque. And it has 355 gears in it, so those are pretty low. Alright, so that's really it. A little overview of the build. I didn't get anywhere to give it a nice rip on the way back. There's a little bit too much traffic. So we tucked it back in the garage here. I'm getting ready to watch the Steelers game. Go Steelers. If you have any questions about the build, anything I kind of didn't cover, or you just want to know some more stuff about it, drop it in the comments. Behind me, there's my ST. That's my daily. That thing's great. Nobody probably really cares about that though, so we'll ignore that. Hopefully more videos coming soon.